Hey guys, welcome to the Good Stuff Podcast. I'm Derek.
And I'm Ashley. Both raised in Marysville, Ohio, we decided to stay here and raise a family and start two small businesses because we absolutely love our community.
We just want to take some time to celebrate the good people, places, and things here in our community that we love and share some of that good stuff with you.
So, enjoy the good stuff. Okay, cool. So today we are here with the lovely Miss Amanda Morris from the city. One of the things we love the most about our community is, in spite of the growth over the last several years, Derek would say more than he loves, but I'm a growth girl. I like it. Anyway, we love the small town feel. We love the community aspect of it. So there's so many really great, fun, community organized things. Last week we talked about Encore and the arts, and so this week we're just talking about the other recreational opportunities that are in the community, whether it's the park system, the pool, the fun events that we have planned. So nobody better to do that with than the person in charge of like all of it, Amanda. So start with when you got hired by the city and what you were hired originally to do. And then we can talk about how things changed.
It is a pretty fun story. Having been born and raised here, let's start kind of a little bit in the beginning where Honda Homecoming was a huge deal. And
We did homecoming together.
Oh, we did go to homecoming together. We didn't yes.
I don't, whatever.
That would be through the schools. Amanda was referring to Honda Homecoming, the motorcycle.
Oh.
That's what I was getting at, though, was Honda Homecoming is going to be...
I just feel left out. I'm trying to participate.
It's going to be obsolete to the generation now. You know what I mean?
You're totally right. And the motorcycle parade?
Yeah.
Just like the thing you looked forward to.
The whole Uptown being full.
Yes.
Now, I will say a few years ago with the Bicentennial, it did feel a little like that. But so Honda Homecoming was a tradition in our community for years, as is and was Festive Fair.
Yeah.
So I'm sure just like your moms, we schlepped it uptown for all of those events. Yeah. And then just like the rest of the world, our Uptown sort of disappeared and we had more vacancies than we did businesses. And so there was some Uptown Revi teams that got together, brainchild certain events and different things to try to kind of bring folks back. When that group dissolved, the city and the chamber and then a few of the Uptown businesses that were left, they're like, hey, okay, we don't want to lose these few things as they are. Who wants to sort of take the lead and how does that work? So a byproduct of that was the city developed a promotions and event position, which was a permanent part-time with the goal of kind of taking over these Friday night events that were started as a fundraiser. We maintained the flower basket program Uptown, and then just general promotions, working with those businesses, working with the chamber and the economic areas to kind of bringing more businesses back. And then the evolution of those events, really, it was pretty amazing to be a part of. So when the position posted, I remember talking to my mom specifically about how cool would it be to be a part of this, because those are such great fond memories of my own. Yes. And at the time, my daughter, she was 3. So it was kind of cool to be, able to sort of reinvent those things and make them stronger. And with the resources through the city and our community really kind of rallying behind them, they've sort of just blossomed from there.
So what year was that? Do you remember?
2011.
2011. Mm-hmm. And it was part-time.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Yep. Now you would probably say it's like full-time and part-time, right? Because there's so much going on. So talk about how has the position grown, not obviously just in size, but all of the other things that you've added, the people now that you help manage, totally changed
for sure
in a short period of time.
Complete 360. To talk about that, you kind of have to look at our city in the Parks and Rec realm. We had a superintendent that was a part-time position. He worked as a full-time athletic director for years. So he helped to operate our pool and make sure our parks stayed cleaned and maintained. Okay. He retired in, I think it was either 12 or 13. And when that happened, they sort of reorganized and they allowed me to operate the pool as well as our recreation programs. And then we hired a Parks and Grounds superintendent. So our evolution finally started to grow after many, many years of pretty much kind of staying status quo.
Yeah.
When compared to some of those communities around us who have whole divisions devoted to parks, recreation, and events.
Sure.
So within a year, my position went full time and it evolved to recreation and events. We started a sand volleyball league, which was really successful, still is. Disc golf. We helped to kind of partner or pair up. So pickleball takes place in our parks, but we don't have to run it. We have a ton of amazing youth programs that are all ran by their own boards. We just help to organize those field schedulings and try to make that process cleaner and more efficient. And then we've heard a lot this year about our pool, right? Our pool hit 40 years, and we have an amazing management staff there. So I get to help with the overlaying details, making sure people get paid and bills get paid and we open, and then still promoting all of that stuff because it all flows together.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and the special event, the fun things that happen at the pool, the dog swim, and the you had some movie nights there and things like that. Yeah.
Day in the park, touch a truck. So all of those really do fall under our umbrella. And probably for, I would say until 2014, it was just myself in the rec and events world, our parks team, and then we relied a lot on like facilities and a few others, but we really kind of did a lot more than we could manpower wise.
Sure.
But then within the next couple years, the evolution of Partners Park, we were able to really drum up those Friday night events and kind of just go from there. I mean, the last 10 years has been really, really cool to see, and also to see the Uptown get revitalized and be a part of that. So we've talked about before with the outdoor refreshment area.
Yeah.
When the state rules changed, our division helped to work on that, to lobby for it, to have that available in our Uptown. It helped expand the footprint of our events, as well as, especially during COVID, be an opportunity to still get people out and about safely.
Yeah.
And so the restaurants and the businesses seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah. We've never enjoyed that. Just kidding. We have. It's fantastic. I think you mentioned even with COVID, I think obviously when COVID first happened and the whole world shut down, it was like parks. Thank God we have parks because kids can still go do that. We can still go out and be like, with each other. And so it was almost a reminder, like for the longest time, people like you have been saying, hey, community events are really, really vital. And then the world shut down and everybody was like, hey, community events are really vital. Did you know?
Yes.
But I think there was this like push towards like, and I remember hearing people go, did you know we have like this park has been redone or that park has been redone? We've got parks that kind of gear towards having kids who maybe have special needs being able to enjoy them just like any other park. So talk about maybe how some of those changes have happened and where, when if you look at the parks 10 years ago, or maybe like before I had kids, not really something I paid much attention to. And now every other day, Callie's like, can we go to a park today? Can we go to a park today?
And especially when you have littles, you start to like figure out which playgrounds you like more than others, or which one haven't you hit? Who's the least visited? Like,
where can I trust her to just run and like, I don't have to chase her.
Yes. Definitely in the last 10 years, we've been really fortunate with the development in our community. We do capture some taxes towards it that goes specifically to parkland improvements. That has been a huge motivator in our playground replacements. So again, 10 years ago, our parks and our playgrounds were newish in the middle of their lifespan, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of those were put in place in the 90s, which meant they were coming at the end of their tour.
Sure.
We had a Parks and Rec commission last night, and I think we're down to like our last playground that needs to actually be replaced before you start looking at those renovations, in the coming years.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful because that means our kids get some of the new, fresh, fun toys.
Yeah.
And gratefully so, some of those new, fresh, fun toys are big enough for us big kids to play on. The treehouse at Aldersgate, I love.
Yes.
And then they have like the gravity slide.
Yes.
Swing.
Yes. Callie loves it.
Yeah. So it's great to be a kid again as well.
Yeah.
And we did. I mean, we saw the explosion of our parks. If anything, some of the overuse became a little bit of a challenge.
Sure.
From a maintenance standpoint, but it's a good challenge.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm grateful. And just the reality too of people slowing down and realizing, what does matter and how do we move forward in the future as things get busy, and still kind of honing in on that and taking care of all of it.
Well, and play doesn't always have to be in like an organized fashion, in that like play doesn't always have to be because you're a part of this team or that team or you've got this particular schedule. Play can just be like what we used to, which is like, we sound old. I sound old right now, but like play could
go
just be
outside
like,
and play.
Just go outside and play. Yeah.
Use your imagination.
Like, call some friends and like just go to the playground and play. And maybe, hopefully it sort of turned families on to that. And I mean, have you seen park usage continue post initial COVID? Good.
That, and then, I mean, in the last, I can't remember when we finished the reservoir, but that became a park, right? Yes. So it has a nice track, which gets used all the time. Yeah. Here recently, though, we have been donated 100 plus acres of land over off of 33. It's the Scott's family. Like they had sort of some farmy / woods that is being gifted to the city. And so that will be a huge project in the future that wasn't on our radar. But I think, again, those people are like, this is valuable. Let's give back to our community.
Sure.
And we're seeing that around the state. We're seeing a lot of people, instead of just selling it off or holding on to it forever, kind of MacGyver Woods. We got that so long ago, and it took us a while to figure out what to do with it and to fund it. I mean, that's half the battle. So I think a lot of folks are really supporting those initiatives, to understanding that there's a balance in giving.
Sure. So what would you say over these last 10 years have been some of the most fun projects you've been able to work on, or the most like you feel like innovative kind of, okay, guys, I'm getting ready to pitch this like idea and you just need to hear me out, because I feel like that's you.
Some days.
And then fortunately, usually the rest of the people are like, okay, maybe let's give it a try. Hopefully now they're at a point where they're like, whatever, if Amanda says do it because it'll work.
Well, I will say the Friday nights, I think just making them a foundation of our events has been exciting to see that pay off, and the community really kind of come, and those keep going. But I will say our second full summer, we pitched the concept of the Wine and Jazz Fest. Okay. And when that was thrown out there, we had a lot of opposition as to, it's a beer community. Now, mind you, this was before the outdoor refreshment area, so it would have been just wine at this event. Okay. Because at the time, the way that the state permitting was, that's what it was. But it allowed us to have our local wineries come. Yes. They can be their best salesmen and be a part of something.
We've got some, I mean, for the size of community we are, we've got some really great wineries. I mean, they don't just do wine, but
I think as a result of the support, they've grown.
They've been able to grow.
And so, at the time, our administration was kind of divided. They're like, ooh, that's scary. It's different. Or like, will we lose everybody because we try this new thing? Sure. And I was never
you have Joseph
happy.
Mitchell. I don't know if you're listening. Then you have Joseph Mitchell who's like, no, yes, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I was never more happy than when Eric Phillips came to that event. And I was like, look at all these people. And so that became a new fave and was an exciting challenge to sort of take on. But it was very rewarding in the sense, like, you saw your friends and your family, vice versa, whether they were discovering new wines or the wineries were just so glad to be a part of it.
Sure.
And that's what they're about. We do put those events on with the goal of them being self-sufficient, right? So concession recovery, vendor fee kind of helps to cover the cost. But at the end of the day, it's really for that greater good of our community and kind of filling those memory banks with as many good times as we can. Because we know bad things could come up. I mean, there's not every day is sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
So
I know for us, always like, oh my goodness, the first Uptown Friday night is coming up. That means summer is here and good things are here, and like we can go and like what I think I think one of the coolest things about those events is like whether you're going there with kids or you're going there just as a group of adults who wants to like have a couple drinks and listen to a band and relax, it doesn't matter. There's like whatever you're going there for can be met. Mm-hmm. You can find enjoyment regardless of
and the energy is insane. I know last year, so my daughter's 12 and she and her friends are up there just like palling around and
making
going up.
TikToks behind Darrett's back.
Yes.
With sunglasses. Yeah, there was one, I think.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love that that's been like the ripple effect of it. And then having folks actually go uptown and visit with our retail and our restaurants.
Run up to grab a bite to eat and stop at a couple shops. Or
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite things that you've done with Uptown is like that it's not just utilized in those spring, summer, winter, or fall months, but that you've found a way to make like the Uptown Marysville the Hallmark Channel.
I know. I feel like
the only thing, I don't like anything about winter or like snow, but that does make me feel a little bit warm every once in a while. So
that project has been extremely rewarding. In our first couple years of Friday nights, we knew that there was an opportunity for ice rink.
Yeah.
But I remember Terry was like, hey, go get a price quote for that. And we got the quote and we're like, we can't afford that, right? So it got tabled. And then a few years later, we did the price quote and council was like, yeah, let's try it. And it was just amazing to see that really pay off. But it does, like between the lights,
the music, the Christmas music
having
playing
the speakers uptown,
the
all
huge
of it.
Christmas tree, Santa's workshop. If you're not from Marysville, if you're just not like, you don't just drive through Marysville in the wintertime. Amanda's talking about an iceless ice skating rink that is in under the pavilion for like all of December.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much all
Through
of
the New
December through the New Year, like what, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And it's free. It's 100% free to anybody who wants to go up there, which is just, I think,
it's rewarding. I know the first year people were like, wow, if we charged, we could offset. And I'm like, yeah, but if we charged, is that the difference of a present for some of these kiddos or a dinner for folks? Because it's such a tough season already.
Right.
I think that's the best part about parks. You can go there and it's free. It's, it's a value. And so it's I kind of go in there with that grateful heart, looking at some of those folks, knowing that they can't afford more, but it's so easy not to say no to your kid to something that is free.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know our daughter goes to Harold Lewis and they had a skate day afternoon. They don't have schools on Monday. And so like one Monday, like all of the kids were invited to skate up there. It's just, it's super, again.
And it's nice too, because you're right. For years, I mean, we don't have a rec center specifically, right? So we have some really great gyms and in the Y.
Yeah.
But in the fall, after the weather turns and the football's over and winter hits, there's just this sort of really, there was a vacant time, right? Santa might be around, occasionally a parade, and then Groundhog Day, like there really wasn't anything. So it was nice to really fill that need in a space. And we've actually become somewhat of a referral to. I mean, we've gotten calls from all over the state of people like, how did you set it up? What did you guys do?
That's awesome.
And so it's the highest form of flattering that's the one best thing about public sector is like, we're always willing to share, right? The good and the bad. Don't do this. We messed up here, but do this. And so we see the same thing with our beautification. So our Uptown baskets.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They are always so beautiful.
Yes, they are.
And it's not an easy project to maintain, but it was started by that same group that we inherited those events from. And so we were able to maintain and foster that and continue it on and get kind of the same response because we just changed the music and it's nice and whimsy uptown. And so it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking into the summer or like the next year to come, are there any things in particular that you're super excited for or I guess start there. Anything you're
it's nice to be back in the mindset of not having to sort of modify as much, right?
That's true, because at this time last year, we still were under a lot of orders. We still had a lot of orders. In fact, did you have all of the Uptown Friday?
We did not do May.
That's what
we kind of replaced that month with like putt-putt. And then we had our normal. So when June and July came, everybody was like, woohoo!
Yes.
So
that's right.
I'm excited for some of the bands this year. We have our traditional McGuffey Lane. I feel like if I did not do them, I would be like torched out of town. They are definitely a legend. Yeah. And so, but for the May event, we have a Fleetwood Mac tribute band. It's called Fleetwood Gold, which is new. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of fun.
Are you listening?
And then we brought a Beatles tribute band back. We had one last year.
Yeah.
We had kind of icky weather, but we still had really good attendance, and they did a double encore. Like my special duty guys were like, come on, is it over yet? These people were loving it. And then we have a more traditional country, which we haven't done in a few years. We've kind of switched back and forth with jazz and some other stuff. And then we're still waiting on football schedules to play in our October, September. We try really hard not to compete with any home games. Yeah. Especially now. I mean, we've got an amazing football team, which is so nice to be back in that kind of world of it. We were at the girls' game for basketball the other night, and it was just like, oh my gosh. Which, do you know, for the girls' game, like home team, you sit on the other side. You know where our visitors used to sit in like the band? Yeah. That's the home team side now. It took me a while to like explain that to my mom. She was like, "Where are we sitting?" I'm like, "Just trust me."
She's like, "I'm traitor. I shouldn't be sitting over here. This is the wrong side."
But it was impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, very cool. Very cool. There was another question I was going to ask you before. What are you most looking forward to? Oh, I know. Okay. So I think this is a symptom, and this will lead me to my challenge, because I've been trying to like challenge people to do something. I feel like when you live, like I know that there's places like this about Ohio, but when you live in a community, you sometimes lose sight of all of the amazing gems that are there. You're like, hey, we want to go do something. Where do we go? And you don't ever look in your own backyard, right? Like, I mean, this happens to us on like an Ohio scale, right? So what do you find is the most, like, if you hear people talking, there's nothing to do here. So what are there things that like you hear still people are like, there's nothing to do in town, or and you say, did you know about what? No, I had no idea. Like, yes. I mean, just from like one living in this town, although I would think that probably most of the people who spend time with you know better than to tell you there's nothing to do in this town. But
I know, that's a great, well, right, let's talk about the things that people always kind of default to first, right? Like the bennies.
Sure.
I think our Friday nights have definitely gotten up there to the point where nothing used to irritate me more when people are like, oh, I had no idea. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
There's like 3,000 people uptown on those Friday nights. How do you not know?
Right?
Yeah, right.
The cover bridges have really kind of taken over the last couple years. I like the concept that you can actually rent a bridge, which I think some people tend to forget. We get those calls occasionally for folks like, we want to get married, just a simple, such and such get together. Over the last 2 years, the emergence or reemergence of American Legion Park has been great. People have really just started to look into that park again. And that's on our to-do list as well, is to redo that amphitheater.
Yeah. Okay,
and just make it more natural, but also more efficient, right? Because there's some things that just as simple as like an outlet to plug in lights, or to be able to, run music or something, an extension of those things. But hidden gems, oh man, that puts me on the spot. I really haven't thought about it in a minute because we use it so much.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard because like, all of the things, I hear it's like you're at a restaurant and you hear, I remember one time sitting this was back when it was Hinckley's, and somebody was there. I don't know what we were working on. And somebody said to one of the servers, like, what is there to do around here? And they're like, nothing. There's nothing to do here. And I was like, there's so much to do. What are you talking about? Also, that's a great way to sell the community. But I mean, I think I think right then that was about the time that the Honda Heritage Center had just opened. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many. And not even like just within our city limits. You talked about the bridges, the covered bridges. There's
the TRC test track is huge.
The TRC test track is huge. I mean, even within like close to us, you have like great things like Leeds. And when we get into springtime,
Phoenix
there's
Back Company. That one still baffles me.
Who the heck knew? Yeah. Right? But there's all the other, like, even beyond the city of Marysville, Plain City has a really cool park, and there's like the you pick kind of things when we get into that experiences. Season, the experience kind of things. Yeah.
I will say it was interesting to me. So a couple years ago, we were able to host like a region meetup with our Ohio Parks and Rec Association. And so they all kind of came to visit. We touched on our park system and so forth, but they really perked up when we talked about the smart corridor. I think we get so used to hearing that all the time that we tend to forget that that's a kind of magical thing in itself. And I always worry that I'm going to see that self-driving car and get into my own accident because I'm watching the said self-driving car, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
So even just that, right? Like the Dublin all the way to the Honda connection.
Yes. Yeah.
We do tend to take for granted what's in our own backyard.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool time to be a part of it too. I'm really grateful to have been from here. Right? Like there's days where I go to the grocery and I'm like, I don't know a soul.
Yeah.
And then there's other days you can't not run into somebody you know.
Because,
Yeah. And so it's kind of nice to actually say that you can like see it and be a part of it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you've helped direct. You've helped direct, but also coming from both a perspective of you're from here, you've got so much vested interest in the success of it, not only because obviously that's your job, but your family's here. Right. And being from the community, having that much more ownership and where kind of the future lies. But yeah, so that kind of like brings me to the challenge is like, I hope everybody regularly does this, but takes a few minutes to like research something that is happening in your own community that you maybe didn't know about, or you always knew there was like a U-Pick farm or something. And so make the commitment that this spring you're actually going to take your kids to it, or you haven't actually been up to an Uptown Friday night, and so you're going to do it, or taking kids to the pool or going to the parks, whatever it is. There's a whole host of amazing ways to engage with our community and build community with each other using the tools and the events that not just the city, but the city and the county and lots of other people have put together. And so there's a lot of joy that can be found in utilizing that. And maybe it's playing on a sand volleyball league, or maybe it's just enjoying an Uptown Friday night, or go touring the Honda Heritage Center. I don't know. That was like a hot thing for a minute. And I think, again, people just kind of, it's Honda, they get used to it. But man, that's a cool place. Yeah. That's a really cool place.
You have family visiting from out of town. What can you do with them, right? Yeah. There's so much.
There is.
So much more than we give ourselves credit for sometimes.
Yeah. Well, a lot of, I think, the beautiful things in our community and the way that we have grown are due to the vision that you have had, and you not being afraid to say, let's try something different. Let's see if it works. You selling the vision to other people who are like, you know what? Again, whatever Amanda suggests is probably going to be a little more power,
idea. But we have a great team. I mean, our council and our administration have been very supportive, given that they were kind of hesitant in the beginning, you know, so I can't take all the credit.
Like, you have proven yourself over
It works.
And over
it works.
Again. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for helping to make the community something that, on a professional level, on a personal level too, just a place that we love so much. And I hope looking into spring, I hope looking into summer, people will really take the community up on its all of the cool events and the wonders that there are, and really work to, especially hopefully as we're like, you know, approaching maybe a summer that's just a little more normal than the way life has been, that we don't take that for granted, right? That the opportunities we have to engage with each other and build community, that we actually take them, because who the heck knows?
We don't.
Right? Who the heck knows? So anyway, that's I
feel like that's a great catchphrase. Who the heck knows?
Who the heck knows? I don't know.
No, well, thank you so much for having me today. It's a huge privilege and a big joy to be a part of all of this. I count my blessings every day because it's a lot of fun, right? We get paid to play and to, put that hard work into it. But this, I think, is awesome. So I hope people keep listening and learning and getting involved and hearing the good news.
Yeah. Celebrating the good. And of course, if there's ever good that you're wanting to talk about, that you're seeing, we encourage you to stay engaged with us, get engaged with us. Do that by clicking the links that are here, and let us know if you've got something good you want to talk about, or of something good you think we should investigate. So until next time, go find a way to build community. Hopefully in this community, but in your community. Good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nailed it.